Well, hard-fought affair Saturday night out there at the stadium. The Aztecs fall to Utah State 23-17. The Aztecs had a 3-game winning streak going, and they lose that first one of the year. Rocky Long joining us now on Extra 1360. Rocky, good morning to you.
Good morning, guys.
When you went back and watched the film specifically, Rocky, let's begin with the offense. Defense we'll get to as well. When you go back and watch the film, what jumped out to you specifically?
That we made too many mistakes, especially in the kicking game. I mean, some of those are avoidable. Some of them are just things that happen by the way the official is placed. Sometimes he sees it, sometimes he doesn't. But that gave us very bad field position, so we had long drives on offense. We just didn't score any points, and a lot of the field position was caused by our mistakes in the kicking game.
Coach, I am a let's get right back up in the saddle type of person, and it's easy to say for people who really don't know and don't know the team closely, oh, the bye week comes at a good time for this football team. You're 3-1. You're not 0-4. Would you prefer to play next weekend or this weekend?
Yeah, I'd much prefer to play. I mean, because then you can get back to work and start working on the next game and forget about the last one. All a bye week does is make you think about losing the game before you start getting to work on the next opponent. But, physically, if not mentally, physically it's good for you to get healed up and healthy and all those sort of things.
Rocky, we certainly know what kind of offense Utah State has. Jordan Love, potential quarterback going in the first round. And one of the touchdowns that they scored was on a pick six. On a pick six, their defense ended up scoring it. What did you make overall how your defense played against Utah State?
Well, I didn't think we made enough plays. Obviously, we were grudgingly giving up yardage, but they had consistency on their offense as far as driving the ball. And what our defense did do was once they got in the red zone or close to field goal range, they bowed up and kept them out of the end zone most of the night. And I was shocked that our defense was able to only give up one touchdown during the game, but they scored quite a few points on field goals, but we could have been out of the game in the first half if the defense hadn't have made them kick field goals instead of scoring touchdowns.
Coach, I know the scoreboard is the ultimate arbiter of how the game went for you, but you take a little solace in the fact that the guys, they didn't fold tents and they didn't quit after that first half, and they made it a football game.
Well, you can. I mean, I'm a half full guy, I guess. Yeah. You can look at the positives. The positives played that we played really hard the whole game and we wanted to win, but we made too many mistakes and didn't score enough points on offense to win.
Scored 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. Did you feel like your offense was able to get into a rhythm?
No, I thought those were big plays. One of them was made by Ryan scrambling around and eventually finding a guy in the end zone. That's a weird play. They happen every once in a while, but they're weird. The other one was a good throw and a good catch and a really good run after the catch. But those were big plays. I mean, I didn't see us getting any consistency, but we kept it close enough that we had a chance to win at the end if we could have put a drive together.
Do you feel like Agnew at times breaks a play down before it needs to? At times, and we see this a lot, Rocky, the more that these quarterbacks become so mobile. But do you feel like at times he likes to get into a play that breaks down before it needs to?
Well, I don't get into that. I think if he's our best quarterback and he's our starting quarterback, he has to play like he plays. And if that's his personality, that's the way he's played. We can't change that. I mean, he's a senior in the program. We're not going to change that. So when he makes the play where he threw the one in the end zone, everybody was happy with him scrambling around. At the end of the game, when he scrambles around and gets tackled down by the goal line, everybody thinks he made a mistake. That's just part of being a quarterback. And when you're the quarterback, it's your fault when you don't win.
Rocky, from week one to watching the game film from Saturday night, though, do you see growth with Ryan?
Well, I see growth with the offense as a total, and that includes him. I think we're throwing the ball better than we have in the past, but we're so inconsistent. I mean, at one point you can run it a little bit, and then all of a sudden you can't run it. The next point you can throw it a little bit, and all of a sudden you can't throw it. I mean, we're so inconsistent on offense, and we're 4 games in. We better start getting consistent here pretty quick, or we're going to struggle winning games.
How much can Juwan Washington help with what you were just talking about?
Well, we're not getting any explosive plays in the running game. I mean, we're getting good yardage, and we're moving the ball, but we're getting 13, 14, and 15 play drives and not scoring touchdowns. And that's hard to do. And when you run the ball that much, you got to get an explosive play. I mean, you got to get a play that goes 20, 25, 30 yards, or maybe even to the end zone. And we haven't had that since he's been hurt. So hopefully he'll get well and he'll add that dimension to our offense.
Coach, do you anticipate him getting well in the next 2 weeks?
Well, we didn't play him on Saturday in the hopes that he will. Yes, I think he'll be 100% by the next game.
Overall, Rocky, how healthy is your team?
We're pretty healthy. I mean, we haven't had any serious injuries, and even the guys that are beat up and banged up, they've been able to play on Saturdays, and so we ought to be pretty fresh for the next one.
We're watching the Group of Five, specifically the Mountain West Conference. Rocky, you have a lot of success. What did you make of? I know that you've got San Jose State coming up, and the more Power 5 wins they get, you may look at it a couple different ways. Like, one is like, man, our schedule is getting more difficult, more of these wins, but you got to be happy for a program like San Jose State.
Well, I'm happy anytime anybody in our league beats a Power 5 school, and San Jose beating Arkansas is awesome. The only bad part about that is that's going to give them confidence, and now they're going to be a much harder team for us to beat. So there are positives and negatives, but for the league purposes, I think our league's pretty good from top to bottom, and us going out and beating Power 5 schools proves that.
Your win against UCLA changes a little bit with what it looks like as well with their win on Saturday.
Yeah, scoring 67 points. I didn't know they could do that. I guess our defense played pretty good in that game.
I think UCLA and Washington State really gave us the truest indication of what a Madden game would look like if guys actually went out there and played. That I watched that game after you guys were done. That was absurd.
I think it's going more and more that way. I think even in pro football, as they get more and more into the spread formations and throwing it around 60 or 70 times a game, I think it's going to get more and more like that. But for the fan, I think that's good. I think that's fun to watch.
It was.
Rocky, I did want to ask, because I know that you're a big Padre fan. A lot of times, I've seen you behind that home plate on Fox
Gucci
Sports San
seats.
Diego.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, look at Rocky. Wow. He's got the best seat in the house. But it's a tough job you have. The firing of Andy Green. What did you make of it when you heard that news?
Well, I think all coaches understand that when you're in a position as the boss of the team, if you don't win enough games, that's a strong possibility that's going to happen. I hate to see it. I think Andy is a good guy, and I think he worked really hard at making that team. I thought they were much more athletic. I think they were better this year than they were the year before. But I'm not the one that makes those decisions, and I'm not the one that'll make the decision if we don't win any more games. What happens with me? That just goes with the job, and you live with it. And he'll be coaching somewhere and probably be a manager somewhere down the road for somebody else.
Rocky, thank you. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you Wednesday during the Coaches Show.
All right, guys. Appreciate the call.
Thanks, Coach.